Okay. My name's Dean Takahashi. I'm the lead writer for VentureBeat at VentureBeat. I'm the surprise substitute moderator here. Sorry for the delay. We've got Peter Relin here. He's the very interesting history in Silicon Valley. He ran and runs the UWeb incubator. We've got a very interesting talk here that's related to his newest startup. He's also on the board of Discord, which is a very popular gaming voice chat app. And Got It is his latest baby here. And that startup is sort of doing some things that, say, some of the other big companies, big search companies, maybe should have done quite a long time ago. So that's what leads to our topic here of, what if Google, Amazon, and Facebook had started with AI algorithms a long time ago before they sort of got hip to them more recently. So Peter, why don't you
Thank you. Yeah.
talk about that
Pleasure
for
to be
us.
here. Yeah, I think the last speaker mentioned briefly AI has gone through a up phase in the 80s when I was graduating college, and then a down phase. And now it's back up again. So the AI hype that sort of started in the 80s didn't really result in big commercial ventures. But in late 90s, 2000, a lot more focus on Web 2.0, social commerce, and so on. So AI took a back seat. And so you have this slew of companies, tech giants, 3 major tech giants, starting in that era of the 90s and 2000s, that literally started without AI in their core strategy.
They were born in the AI bust.
They were born in the AI bust. Yeah. They boomed
Yeah.
in the bust,
Yeah.
if there is such a thing. So I found it very curious, having been in Silicon Valley for 35 years, that today, if you are a company, a startup, like some are in my portfolio, how AI would not even be a question in your strategy. In other words, if you didn't start with AI as a part of what you do, you probably won't get much past your demo day party round at a Y Combinator's demo day. So I have 3 companies that I sort of thought about, looked at very carefully as to what they would be like if they had started with AI, and of course that's mentioned in the first. So happy to start talking with, let's say, Facebook. So I think a lot of people here know it's a very broad, wide-reaching company, Facebook, and content is generated by the community of Facebook. So if Facebook had started with AI, the #1 problem that it would have solved with AI would have been how to stop bad content. Today, you remember this from the gaming days, but 2007, 2008, when Facebook opened its API, the #1 complaint that users have was spam.
Yeah.
How many people here got Farmville requests to everybody? Okay.
Too many sheep flying back and forth.
Sheep flying back and forth, pokes, a lot of irrelevant content, and the core strategy of Facebook in the early days was let the community sort it out until it sort of reached a breaking point where there was so much spam from Farmville on Facebook that literally, I think, I remember meeting Zuckerberg in 2010, and he, at that point, said, "I hate games," because they had completely destroyed his network. And I thought, it's interesting because games are actually one of the most important new applications on any new platform. Same with the iPhone. And here's the founder of Facebook who's just, this thing is out of control. So today, let's just fast forward. What's the bad content today? We have bad content 10 years ago. It was game spam. Today, what's the bad content?
Fake news.
Fake
right?
news,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and it's at 10 times the scale that existed 10 years ago. I mean, Farmville had 200 million users. Facebook has 2 billion users. And how do you stop fake news from propagating? How do you stop fake news, which is bad content, we all agree, from maybe influencing or throwing an election? How do you stop fake news from providing the world with alternative facts? So we have a huge problem, right? And interesting that you would have thought that Facebook's natural instincts would have been to stop fake news with what? Just by saying, let the community handle it, right? But in 2016, they acknowledged that now that they had built a machine learning system, they are using that to identify fake news in combination with community, which is a huge admission and a huge point for Facebook, which so deeply believes that the user community is the wisdom of the crowds will take care of bad content.
So do you feel like that they are sort of turning a battleship here to really focus on AI, to clean out this garbage content from the network, basically?
I think it's, well, Facebook is like an aircraft carrier that can turn just on a dime. So we saw that with when they did the mobile pivot after their IPO. I think it's more that it's inevitable. I mean, even if you are 100% community-driven company, it's inevitable. You cannot avoid the fact that here's this technology, and you would literally have to say, I do not want to use it in order to sort of, in other words, community is not going away. So we have the same problem with this at a company of ours called Discord. How many people here might have heard of Discord? It's a voice and gamer chat app. And guess what? 50 million users. It's 1/40th the size of Facebook, but already, and it's really meant for people to create small groups where they chat with each other about the game they're playing. But we're finding that groups are certainly coming up where it's not about the game they're playing. It's about all kinds of other topics. So guess what? We use image recognition to, we have a pretty hard, Jason Citron, the founder CEO, has a very hard policy on porn on these channels. So image recognition, it's great, knocks it out pretty hard. So even in a community platform, you would use AI if you were a startup today to stop the bad content, if you will.
Do you still eventually get to human curation, just like in the eBay talk we just heard as well?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like exception handling. So you ultimately have to allow the AI engines to do their job, and then you have a sort of exception flow where you say, look, I don't quite know what to make of this from the AI part of perspective. So you have a small operations team in Discord that deals with the exceptions or the edge cases and so on and so forth. But imagine the scale issues if you went the other way, right? You also give tools to the users, so anybody in a group can flag a chat going on saying, I find this NSFW or I find this objectionable. That will also do it. So whether the community starts first or whether the AI starts first, you got to get them working together. Whereas if you look at the old days, it was social graph only.
So there's this human in the loop still, and I guess that gets us to your new startup, right? I mean, Got It. Tell us more about Got It and this human
part of it, yeah. So Got It is a new company that is saying that if Amazon can give you a new virtual machine, a server as a service for you, why not allow knowledge to be a service? So if you want knowledge today, you can go to Google and search for it. If you want to go to Quora or communities, you can certainly do that. But neither of those two are services, because a service has to have 4 key criteria. One, it has to have a defined unit. So with Google, you might have to click on 5 links, 7 links, 8 before you finally find out what it is that you are answering. 2, it must have a set price. 3, it must be on demand. And 4, it must be guaranteed. So if you look at Google and Quora, for people who have questions or knowledge, you find that neither one of those meet all 4 criteria. So with communities and forums and Q&A sites, you don't know when. Maybe somebody will answer, maybe somebody not. Stack Overflow, the same thing. So there's no guarantee. It's not on demand for sure, like Uber or DoorDash, et cetera. So Got It is created with the notion that just like Amazon spins up a machine for you on demand, and the machine is well understood, and the price is well understood. This is the spec of the CPU. This is the price. We have this notion of a 10-minute chat session on demand available with an expert for your question, and it's arranged within 15 seconds. So you demand, you have a question, you ask for it, and an expert shows up 15 seconds later. A human expert.
person expert. Right.
And you have exactly, it's a set unit, so it's a 10-minute chat session. You go back and forth, and when you're done, do you agree whether you're done with your question? Your question could be, some are pretty technical. I'm working on a pivot table in Excel. It's not pivoting right. Okay, let's work on it together. 10 minutes, done. Try putting an Excel spreadsheet into Google and look for a pivot table answer. So we do believe that humans are in the loop. But the interesting thing is, from day one, the way we find the expert is using AI, right? So I don't think we substitute that incredible sharing experience we get when two human beings connect and one of them says, aha, got it, you know, when they're explaining something to each other. That is irreplaceable, frankly. I don't think that, you know, any sort of content interaction replaces a person-to-person aha moment. But the cool thing is that finding the expert, which is not actually a human interaction thing, can be done using AI. So we use the same algorithms that Google uses, which is PageRank. Google has a new system now called RankBrain, which they acknowledged it's the first time they've added AI in addition to content and links as a way of finding the best pages for you. So we use an algorithm called ExpertRank, which is an AI algorithm to say, for this problem, of all the billion people out there, who is the best person that can answer it? And as long as experts are registered, they get push notifications saying somebody would like help with this problem. So we all know that for any question we have amongst the 5-7 billion people in the world, there is someone who is perfectly matched for our question. We know that intuitively.
I'm the expert on Dean Takahashi, right?
There you go, right? So if I want to
10-minute chat session with me.
There you go. If I want to ever ask about what's happening in the gaming press, that chat session, he would have the highest expert rank. So the notion of combination of human plus AI, whether it's in Facebook. In Google, actually, it's very interesting because the search engine runs completely off servers. And the AI engine they have added to it in the Hummingbird search system is actually also completely runs on servers. So it's truly a server-based system. But only 15% of Google's queries are answered with the help of AI. The other 85% are still using the traditional PageRank, relevance rank algo, right? So when you don't have humans in the loop, I think AI-assisted engines are extremely powerful. AI-only engines will get very powerful over time, like the true self-driving car. But if you look at Tesla and Google, Waymo, the two strategies are different, actually. Tesla's strategy is AI-assisted. In other words, you're still in the car, and the car will drive, but it won't drive without you there. So the human has to be in the loop, right? And I would argue that Tesla is collecting more data than Google or Uber are today because they got ahead with AI-assisted as opposed to pure, you know, self-driving. Right.
So there's sort of more efficiency in the answering if you've got this combination of AI.
You have more data. I mean, AI, you know, I think people have said here before, it's about the data. The more the data, the better your AI, right? If it's bad content, the more your community is generating bad content, the more, in a strange way, your machine learning algorithms will pick up on what is bad content. Like, so in a strange way, the more the fake news, the easier it is to find the fake news because you can train your AI algos to do that. If fake news was like finding a needle in a haystack, it would be actually very hard to train the algo, right? So the more the data, whether it's bad content, the same thing with Google searches. The more the searches, the better Hummingbird is going to get in understanding the query, which is the RankBrain algo. It actually understands the query. So the more the queries it can train on and understand and present results, the better. So,
you know, a question I'm thinking of here, though, is like, how do you scale the human part for you? Like, I may be the expert on Dean Takahashi, but I'm not going to answer a query at 3 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So how do you?
Well, the vision of God is very simple. Today we have a very large social network with 2 billion people. And I would argue that most of the communication that goes on in that social network is social. It's not utility from the perspective of, hey, I have a problem that I want to get some knowledge on. So imagine a world, we have 7 billion people. Just take a guess. How many cars are there, do you think, in the world? 1 billion. How many homes do you think there are in the world? 1 billion. And we have on-demand services saying, homes and cars, highly underutilized capacity, let's connect them into the demand, which needs a home or a car, and those two companies are doing very well. It's called, Airbnb and Uber, right? How many human brains in the world? 7 billion. How many companies or systems in the world that can connect you to that right person in a knowledge network when you have a specific problem? There is somebody out there who very specifically can give you that aha moment. There isn't a system for that. So the idea is build a knowledge network as big as Facebook, but it's not a social graph, and let every human being, because the interesting thing about God is, if you own a home, there's a mortgage cost. If you own a car, there's a lease cost. But 10 minutes, that's what we call it, a 10-minute chat session. The knowledge you carry in your brain or the expertise that you know about the gaming industry, it costs you nothing to carry it in your brain, as far as I know. I don't know what, how much you do in the morning to make sure you're ready for the day, but it costs you nothing. So we have the world's most underutilized resource that is free. All that doesn't exist is the knowledge network the size of Facebook to connect everybody. So the vision is get everybody to be an expert of something or the other onto the system, build an AI engine that finds the right person for a problem. And guess what? We've delivered over 3 million sessions now, and 12,500 ranked experts in the world, and 200 apply every single day, and we've had over 250,000 apply, because everybody realizes, and we have people who, software engineer will take a question in Excel. Why? I was having lunch, I saw this thing pop up, it looks interesting, I did it. Okay? So the marginal cost of this inventory in our brains is zero. All we need is the AI, because the humans exist. We have 7 billion humans, so there's no shortage of that. We don't want to replace them, we want to find them.
Interesting. So where are you with this now, and what's your sort of roadmap for where you need to go?
So where we are today is we have delivered about 3 million sessions, so now we have data. So one of the most interesting things is we have 3 million chat sessions in our database between one asker and one expert over some problem or the other. Now we get to the point of saying, how do we mine that data for a machine learning algo? How do we look at the data from the point of view of the expert? So get this, our AI algo looks at every single session and adjusts the expert rank based on 6 factors. The first factor is politeness. So we have NLP processing that says, did the expert talk to the user politely? Because this is utility. The user pays for this, right? Second, empathy. Does the user feel like they said something like, yeah, that's right, you understand my problem now? Those are signals in the chat session that the user received some empathy for their particular question. Third, of course, is accuracy. Did they answer the question? If it was Excel, pivot table, if they're programming, if it's a question about something else, did they actually answer it? And then fourth is personal information. Did they try to exchange personal information? So if you look at a 10-minute chat session and the richness of the human conversational content, it's very large. You have politeness, you have empathy, you have accuracy, you have customer service at the end. Hey, am I done? Are you satisfied? All of those go in, and in real time, the expert's rank will adjust. So right away at the end of a session, they'll be told, hey, that was a great session. Your expert rank is 4.621 as opposed to 4.6 or something like that. So our roadmap is very clear. We will never replace human beings, but we will always be looking to AI for content. Like in this AI engine I mentioned, the content has to be right. So bad content, good service, empathy, understanding. And when you start to describe these attributes of a chat session, it sounds pretty human, doesn't it? Right? So we're actually asking our AI engine to say no bad content, relevant expert, find the right person, the same as Google. So no bad content, same as Facebook. Find the relevant expert, like relevant search results. And then this last thing, which is this human quality to your session, which is delivered by a human. But we look at it and say, was it delivered in a way that was a great one-on-one chat session?
So this is a service that sort of still can get better over time.
It will only get better over time because AI, the data keeps improving, right? So we'll find more bad content. We'll get more relevant experts for people's problems. And we will obviously have better results within the session as long as we keep adding the data to the AI algo. But by the way, Amazon is, I mentioned...
I was going to ask about Amazon.
Yeah,
they're on our headline here. So.
Yeah, so are we close to the end of our session? Or?
Just about, yeah. Maybe we should wrap up with
All right.
Yeah.
So Amazon's really interesting. This is my challenge to Amazon because it's black. It's a complete black box. So we're all developers here, right? And many of us. We look for a service on demand saying, I need more compute power, right? And we now know that there's an enormous variety of compute power you could get. So how do you know whether you are getting the best resources for your problem? If it's a large data analytics problem, it's probably a different set of resources than if you are a transaction processing app, or if you're a machine learning app, or if you're... So what is the relevance of an on-demand service? I think that is an important aspect of Amazon's future, even though most people are obsessing about Alexa and Echo, which is a much more well-understood problem. But I, as a platform, would want to make sure that when a request comes in on demand, I find the best resource. And the sheer number of AI applications now are exploding. And so how do you find the best resource for your particular application, which I don't know that they do today. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But we don't really know, or we don't have the ability to manage that ourselves.
Very good. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.